Paranormal investigators often point to the sun-bleached ruins of Bhangar Fort as India's most haunted destination, but professional teams consistently walk through these stone temples with their equipment and leave without a single confirmed haunt. These historical sites function as popular weekend destinations, far removed from the actual dangers of the paranormal. Remote shorelines and coastal roads carry similar legends of spirits gathering after dark. Yet, year after year, these locations failed to produce any measurable evidence of a haunting. The country's deadliest location sits in an ordinary, densely populated residential neighborhood in Chennai called Valmiki Nagar. Known simply as the F2 building, this property houses a threat that professional investigators refuse to visit. You can feel the weight of the property from the sidewalk. The negative energy radiating from the structure is strong enough to physically cause mobile phone screens to flicker and short out as people pass the exterior wall. The house operates on a rigid, lethal schedule. Intruders are free to enter and wander the rooms throughout the night, but the property carries an absolute rule. Anyone still inside when the clock strikes 5 a.m. will not survive the morning. Lethal environments thrive in ordinary, modern residential buildings. They operate on mechanical, deadly schedules that don't depend on ancient history or Gothic atmosphere. In 2014, a young assistant director named Vishnu was struggling through a high-stress midnight film shoot right on the edge of Valmiki Nagar. By the middle of the night, he was practically sleepwalking through his tasks. Around 12:30 a.m., the director called a sudden 2-hour break. Vishnu had a logistical problem. His apartment was 30 minutes away. Driving home would leave him with barely an hour to sleep before he had to return to the set. He wandered into the neighborhood, looking for a quiet porch or a vacant building to take a quick nap. His search led him directly to the front steps of the F2 building. Extreme exhaustion has a way of silencing our survival instincts. To a well-rested person, a dark, abandoned house is a warning. To someone running on 0 hours of sleep, it looks like a sanctuary. Vishnu reached the F2 building and found the heavy front doors wide open. He walked right into the pitch-black living room. He found a young woman sitting quietly on a couch on the ground floor. She spoke calmly, explaining that her father had kicked her out of the house after a fight, and she occasionally used this building as a place to rest. Finding another person inside immediately put Vishnu at ease. He lay down on a nearby sofa and fell into a deep, dreamless sleep. At 3 a.m., Vishnu woke up naturally. Realizing he was late for his call time, he rushed out the front doors and ran back to his set, completely unharmed. The haunting relies on this sense of false security. The entity allows victims to enter, sit down, and leave freely, as long as the scheduled hour of death hasn't arrived. Half an hour later, back on the film set, Vishnu casually mentioned where he had just slept to his crew members. His local friends were visibly terrified. They explained the house's reputation and the absolute certainty of the 5 a.m. death sentence. Vishnu laughed off the warnings. He bragged about the girl he had seen inside, and actively bet his friends that he could survive in the building until dawn just to prove them wrong. Ignoring their pleas, Vishnu marched back to Valmiki Nagar. With exactly 1 hour left on the clock, he stepped back into the house. Human arrogance serves as the catalyst here. The curse waits for victims who ignore explicit local warnings and walk back into the dark. This timeline traces the curse to 2007. Anushka planned to elope, waiting for her boyfriend at the house. As hours passed, he refused her calls. By early morning, her despair escalated into a total loss of hope. At exactly 5 a.m., Anushka gave up. She walked into a bedroom and hanged herself from the ceiling fan. That moment of trauma created a permanent time loop. Every night, the property repeats her agonizing wait, the unlocked doors, and the violent end. The 5 a.m. deadline marks the final moment of this trauma loop. Anyone standing inside when the recording hits that mark is caught in the playback. In 2014, the clock struck 5 a.m. In the silence of the living room, Vishnu suddenly heard the horrific sounds of a woman suffocating in the bedroom upstairs. He ran to the second floor and found the runaway girl standing in the hallway. She was staring blankly into the bedroom at a corpse hanging from the fan. Vishnu looked closer at the hanging body and realized the face was identical to the girl standing next to him. The entity's face distorted as it attacked. Vishnu turned and sprinted frantically down the stairs, but he found the front doors completely sealed shut. At 5:30 a.m., Vishnu collapsed into unconsciousness, just as his friends managed to break down the exterior door to reach him. Escaping the house doesn't mean the encounter is over. It means the trap has successfully closed. Vishnu's friends pulled him out of the house, but his mind remained trapped inside the loop. During his days in the ICU, he constantly complained of hearing the dead girl laughing and watching him from the hospital corridors. After 4 days of psychological torment, Vishnu died of sudden cardiac arrest on the 5th day. The entity bypasses physical violence entirely. In each recorded case, the sheer psychological weight of the encounter eventually triggers a fatal cardiac arrest. The F2 building operates as an inescapable emotional trap. It latches onto its victims and follows them out into the light.